Welcome back to TheChowTimePod. It's your host, Red. Again, videos today from the Financial Coffee Channel. Again, please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. Let's get that. Ciao.
It's heartbreaking. Because we all wanted the job.
Yeah, it's hard, you know. We got bills, we got kids to take care of, you know, daycares
And it's offensive to tell me that I am a lazy federal worker. And I got news for you. The federal benefits aren't as great as you all think they are. We're not here living off of the American people tax dollar. We're trying to save it.
A number of Internal Revenue Service workers in Denver are being let go as part of mass layoffs across the country and part of the Trump administration's push to shrink the federal workforce. Many workers believe the layoff could lead to major delays this tax season.
I'm just realizing if we're laying off so many government workers and private entities aren't hiring, where are these workers going to go? Just a thought process.
So again, we got our email saying that we were fired after sitting around all day knowing we were fired. And then we turned in our equipment about an hour or so later, and then we were escorted out of the building.
I'm kind of numb. Yeah.
Sean Hartley is one of a number of federal IRS probationary workers in the Richmond office that were let go.
I'm a lot emotional. I'm trying to hold it together, but
I mean, it sucks. My heart goes out to these people. Like they're doing their job. They're doing normal job. It's not like they deserve to be fired or anything. It's just, it is what it is.
I'm the primary income in my family, and I don't know what this is going to mean for us personally.
Hartley had only been in the department for 6 months. She says she hadn't been formally given a reason for her firing. However, her bosses indicated her job was eliminated as part of President Trump's efforts nationwide to cut down on government spending.
We're doing all that boots on the ground work that has to get done. Those are the people who are being cut. Somehow eliminating the lowest paid employees on the ladder seems efficient.
I'm also a little bit like about it too. Yeah, the actual agents themselves, I don't think are really, they're just normal workers.
I have no clue how that seems efficient.
What do you make of the Trump administration's actions?
I thought that he was, I did support him. I was a Trump supporter. You know, when he talks about government waste and all that, yes, I'm behind it. I believe there is a lot of stuff in the government that needs fixing. And that's part of the reason why I actually wanted to work for the government, actually, to help change the things that are wrong in the world, you know? And I thought that someone with like his business acumen would have come in with a fine-tooth comb and actually found it, instead of coming in with a wrecking ball and destroying people's lives for no reason.
It seems like those firings, or layoffs, if you will, are happening for probationary and enforcement agents. Now, if there are less enforcement agents, that means you have less chances of getting audited by the IRS, which is a good news because there are less people to harass you to pay your taxes.
Hundreds of Kansas City IRS employees went into the office today, but not to work. They cleaned out their desks and were escorted back out. Layoffs, part of the cuts by the Trump administration aimed at government waste. I'm John Holt.
Yes, that's correct, Bria. This affects every single IRS building across the Kansas City metro area. I actually spoke on the phone this morning with an IRS employee who had just started with the agency a few months ago. As she was packing up her desk, she had started this job to get on her feet. Now her, along with nearly 1,000 others, notified yesterday that today would be coming, and now nearly 1,000 of those workers without a job. An eerie cold day here across the metro as 1,000 families now confronted with devastating news. The pay they relied on is gone.
I feel really, really bad for those families. Every job right now means everything to every household, especially the economy that we're in right now.
The Trump administration's new Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, seeks to cut back on what they describe as government overspending. This local development is part of a broader wave of terminations, with the AP reporting that 7,000 probationary IRS employees will be laid off nationwide by the end of the week. 1,000 of those in our backyard.
Damn, 7,000 probationary employees? That's a lot of probationary employees.
Confirmed by the IRS union. The cuts come at a crucial time, smack dab in the middle of tax season. But Williams overall doesn't think your taxes will be affected as much as just the workload increase on the IRS employees who still remain.
There's enough employees there that should be done. There should be any change in how it's done.
Breaking right now, hundreds of IRS probationary workers laid off. NBC 10 has learned about 400 employees from the Philadelphia office have begun receiving letters.
Again, I don't know what I feel about this. It's like less auditors, great, but I'm not a big fan of just firing 7,000 people. These are just normal workers. They're not getting paid overly or anything that much. If there is that much waste that we don't need 7,000 employees, that is a little bit on the weird side of things. But just trying to logically see it. But I feel bad for the families that did get fired, because that sucks. Because some people voted for Trump and then they get fired because of Trump. It sucks. I'm not saying it doesn't suck, but sometimes it is what it is.
Saying they no longer work for the agency.
The Associated Press confirmed earlier today that the IRS will lay off roughly 7,000 IRS workers across the country. Those cuts are part of the Trump administration's ongoing effort to downsize the federal workforce.
Just a short time ago, we spoke with the executive president of the National Treasury Employees Union, Chapter 71. He says some IRS employees started receiving layoff letters earlier today, and that the layoffs affect probationary employees. Those are IRS employees who have not yet completed 1 year of continuous federal service. The layoffs are part of the Trump administration's effort to reduce the size of the federal workforce through the Department of Government Efficiency. I spoke with one of those employees who says he went into work today and had issues logging in. He and his coworkers sat around and waited for instruction and received their letter just before 11:30.
Listen, I know we are not supposed to be happy when people lose their jobs. But to be really honest with you, I am very glad to know that those agents have been fired. As long as those firings don't mess up my tax return, they can get all fired. I don't care. Also, if I only judge by these clips, it seems like most of these firings are females. Some people want the IRS to be abolished. Me personally, I don't think it will ever happen. What do you guys think?
I wish it was abolished. Like, that doesn't make sense that we have to borrow money from ourselves, from an entity that we pay interest on. It doesn't even make sense that this entity prints the money for us and then loans us the money at an interest rate. What kind of freaking racket is that?
Will the IRS be abolished?
Numerous employees stepped out of the federal building in downtown Richmond Thursday afternoon with their personal belongings in a box.
He's right. It does seem like it's a good chunk of women, but it makes sense because it's easy, offish, cushy job. So,
while Hartley doesn't know what's next for her, she is certainly contemplating it all. She says she chose to leave her job in the private sector to serve the public.
Here.
And I was proud to do a job where I was serving my nation, not just getting a paycheck, but doing work that actually contributed. I guess I just have to start searching for a job and hoping I find one in time to pay my bills, keep a roof over my head.
The Richmond employees that I spoke to that were laid off tell me that they didn't receive any type of formal explanation for why their job had been eliminated. They told me that their access to the building was cut. They had to turn in their badges and they would receive a letter in the mail with an explanation. Some people working for the IRS in the Richmond Federal Building were told to turn their badges in today. We've not been able to confirm how many jobs were cut, but we've been told that they were probationary employees in multiple departments.
We are officially 1 month into the new administration, and President Trump is continuing with his efforts to reshape the federal government. Cutting down the federal workforce has also been a defining part of President Trump's first month back in the White House. CBS News has learned more than 6,000 IRS employees are expected to be fired by the end of the week, including 3,500 from the Small Business Self-Employed Division.
The job cuts across the federal government, they are moving ahead with full force on those, particularly when it comes to the IRS.
Yeah, again, I do feel bad that people are losing their job. I don't feel bad that we are trimming the fat of our bloated government. But I do feel bad for people. This is empathy, right? Like, we should feel bad for them. It's not their fault. They're normal working people that got a normal job doing their thing. They got fired and laid off out of their control.
We are told that that they are cognizant of the fact that we are in tax filing season right now, and so their first rounds of cuts primarily affect people who work in enforcement in the small business branch in particular. So they say it won't necessarily have much of an impact on people who are trying to file their taxes right now.
What does enforcement mean, like audits?
Correct. So if you don't pay your taxes, if you underpay your taxes, if you lie or cheat on your taxes, that's when enforcement might be in order. And
ooh, I'm not saying to lie or cheat, but it might work out nowadays.
It's important in the small business section in particular because that's often where they find tax underpayment at higher rates than in larger corporations or in individual taxes. And so it's likely that it'll have some kind of effect. We're looking at a cut of about 5% of the IRS workforce. But
oh, crap. 7,000 is 5%? Dang, the IRS workforce is huge.
But those cuts are going to be implemented in stages, so it remains to be seen whether we'll be looking at less revenue down the road as a result of these cuts.
I guess that's a good thing I don't know what an enforcement IRS agent is. They haven't come knocking on my door yet.
On a side note, have you guys noticed that all local TV news stations cover the news the same way? They all talk the same way. They also have the same voice intonations. The news anchors are always a male and a female, who most of the time are a white and a black person. I find it very strange. Very strange.
Laid off IRS workers and
I think it's strange and not strange because it's meta, right? Like, as a person that plays video games and stuff, meta makes sense because it's the best course of action or the best thing to get you the best results. So the voice inflections, the two, one male, one female, one white, one black, it provides the best overall viewership and demographic for everything. That's why I believe it's like that. Is it weird? Of course it's weird, but
Denver stunned after getting news first thing this morning they were being let go.
I'm concerned. I am concerned. It's, we didn't get notification about this.
Nearly 7,000 federal IRS workers were let go across the country. The president of the local union in Denver said as many as 150 probationary workers were laid off here. Patricia Allen tells us the email said the workers were let go because of poor performance, but that there's no paper trail to prove that.
There's no severance, there's no next week you'll get paid for nothing.
One worker said the layoffs were all part of a political agenda.
We're heartbroken. We have worked so hard. I have never worked so hard at a job in my life. Elon Musk is running this show, and Donald Trump's letting him.
Several laid-off workers said people should expect major delays while trying to get information this tax season because of the layoffs.
The rumors picked up late last week that the IRS would lay off thousands of probationary employees across the country.
I'm just kind of lost because this was like my plan.
Thursday morning, employees say the official email dropped.
that since we fall under the probationary period of 1 year, that they found it that we are not essential, and that we were going to be let go.
Tell me what happened today.
So, I mean, I went in at my normal time. When I arrived there, you know, everybody was in a very downtrodden mood. And when I went to my computer, you know, everybody was having some technical issues. Like none of our computers were really loading up either the programs that we needed to operate or like Teams. My story is the Teams. You know, that's kind of how I figured out that we were getting fired today. And basically we just sat around for the rest of the day. I mean, talk about government efficiency. We literally sat there and did nothing all day long while we waited for our fate.
What do you make of what happened to you and your colleagues today? We hear about 400 employees, including yourself, were laid off.
I mean, it's unfair. I mean, I was unemployed, so I was laid off. I was laid off before this job, and it took me 8 months to apply and go through all the background checks and everything I had to do to get this job. And then 4 months later, now I'm in the same boat I was in before. I was even one of those government employees that went every day of the week. I had to report every Monday through Friday, 7 to 3:30. That was my tour duty, and that's what I served.
Again, I don't know what to think about this. I'm actually kind of happy that they laid off a lot of enforcement agents and all these things, because I'm a small business. Maybe if I mess up on my taxes, I might not get audited. But I feel bad for like 7,000 people. That's 7,000 families, guys. That's 7,000 families that are losing some livelihood. It blows. I think the way they went about it is a little bit off. But I mean, life isn't fair. It is what it is. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. I really appreciate that. And catch you guys next time.